All right, hi everyone. This is a video with some coaching tips about your plan phase. So in your Chapter 4 guidebook, you need to scroll down into what will be mostly like the big chunk of your Chapter 4 is going to be all about your implementation. You'll find a section titled Implementation Level 1 heading where this will be a brief introduction. Now you're not going to write this introduction yet. What you'll see underneath it will be the next level 2 heading, which is your plan phase. And if you kept scrolling down to the guidebook, you'd see the next level 2 heading would be the do phase. The next level 2 heading after that would be the study phase. The next level 2 heading after that will be the act phase, right? So we are, if I could have this map of like you are here, there's lots of stuff at the beginning of Chapter 4 that we'll get to later, but we're going to start with the plan phase because hopefully by now you have completed your plan phase. So we're going to use this time to write up the plan phase. So the plan phase should be a level 2 heading in your Chapter 4. Make sure it is a level 2 heading in your Chapter 4. The template should have it there. The purpose of this section provides readers with a narrative account of how you prepared for your PDSA implementation, focusing on the practical steps you took to get ready, rather than repeating the change ideas and details covered in earlier chapters. I'll give you some more coaching there. This section should demonstrate your organizational skills and your systematic approach to translating ideas into actionable implementation plans. So you're trying to also convey to your audience and convey to your readers your ability to organize this project, which is a lot of what the plan phase was, right? The plan phase is planning. It's figuring it out. It's developing a timeline. It might be chatting and talking with stakeholders and having discussions, etc. So this is also the first time that maybe you have written so narratively in your dissertation. So you'll find that most of this chapter and some of the other sections for sure are going to be narrative. You're really just storytelling what you did with a little bit of not like once upon a time storytelling and not creative writing storytelling, but this kind of maybe I should say like nonfiction. Like it's this relaxed storytelling of everything that you did, right? That's very practical. That describes all of your steps, your processes and procedures. So there is like an academic tone. There's a scholarly tone to it, but it's also this kind of relaxed scholarly tone. The length of the section is probably going to be about 3 to 5 pages, including your narrative and reflections. So we'll talk about the body of the narrative, every single phase section. So the plan phase, the do phase, the study phase, the act phase will end in a section of reflections from that particular phase of your implementation. So, content overview, you're going to provide a brief bridge from previous chapters. And when I say brief, I mean brief. Then narrate the concrete preparation work you did to organize your implementation, how you prepared your instruments and materials, how you might have coordinated with participants, like recruited participants, established timelines, anticipated challenges, etc. Okay. The tone and approach, you're going to use past tense throughout. You are describing what you actually did to prepare. And this is key. Like if you could highlight anything, highlight this, right? With practical, here's what I did to get ready tone. Right? You've already done this. You're beyond your plan stage, your plan phase. What did you do to get ready? That's the tone that you are writing in. So we will get to the do phase. You might be in your do phase right now, but you're not writing about that. You're writing specifically about the planning that you did. Maintain first person narrative. That should be coherent and consistent throughout. Focus on what you did to prepare. So the narrative strategy and organization for this section, if needed, use some level 3 headings to organize. So remember, the plan phase is a level 2 heading. So every subsection within level 2, within the plan phase, should be level 3 headings or level 4 headings underneath that. I'm going to make a suggestion that you probably do not need level 4 headings for this. Maximum, like the deepest you probably need to get in this section is level 3, right? So if you need some level 3 headings to organize some of these ideas, there are some concepts here that I'll go over. Use those level 3 headings. Make sure that they are flushed left, they are bold, they are italicized. That's what a level 3 heading is. This is actually an example of a level 3 heading, reflections on the plan phase. The first letter of each word is capitalized, right? Okay, so narrative strategy and organization, you're going to write a practical account, focusing on the concrete steps. And again, here's what I did to get ready narrative. Some key aspects to address. So these are the things that you want to think about to include in this section and to organize it carefully. A brief connection to previous chapters, building on your driver diagram and your change idea. So that means just brief. It's just like a quick mention. Do not belabor this. We have already read chapter 2. We have already read chapter 3. You're just making that connection of like, oh, yeah, that's right. Maybe your driver diagram helped to inform some of these steps, right? You can even refer back to driver diagram was in chapter 3. Was it figure 3.2, right? You can refer back to it if you need to. So how you operationalize your change idea into concrete testable actions, that again is just your brief overview, your brief connection. And then here, what are the things you did to prepare for data collection? Like how did you prepare your tools, your instruments, your measurement processes? Did you take any steps to coordinate with your workplace colleagues or participants for their roles? Did this involve recruitment? Did you have to coordinate with other people within your organization? Like you might have had a stakeholder researcher team, steps that you did there. The timeline creation that accounted for organizational context and restraints. So how you might have mapped out your timeline. This could even include a brief figure. Let's say your change idea, you had maybe different chunks or sections or different activities across different weeks. Like you might have had like this 5-week syllabus or 5-week rhythm where each week was something different. If that pertains to you, then maybe create like a table or a figure that demonstrates your plan, like your map, your timeline. Maybe you didn't have it by week, but maybe you had it differently. Like there are many ways in which you can communicate some of that timeline creation. And oftentimes a summary figure can be really helpful there for your readers. I mean, don't you like to scan over a table or a figure rather than reading 4 paragraphs of text? Like I do. You just want to make sure that that table and figure are really supportive of your narrative. If you had any specific predictions about how your change idea would work, this is where you can be transparent about that, because later on we'll actually see, did the change work? And it is okay for you to have certain predictions or hopes and then to find something different. That is very much part of this process. Any anticipated obstacles and backup plans that you developed. So let this be brief. We don't need to know what your like second or third IRB was by any means, but you're trying to communicate how prepared you were. You're trying to communicate how organized you were. You even want to think like in the future, say a potential future you're applying for a future job and the supervisor is like reading over your dissertation. Like what type of skills do you want to communicate there? Like how much attention to detail that you have, how organized you are. Some cautions. Oh, maybe I'll pause. Remember, these key aspects to address are the things that you want to organize in your own way into clear, coherent paragraphs with some clear organization. If level 3 headings help you organize that, then use level 3 headings. Okay? It does not mean that you have to go piece by piece and that every bullet point here is a paragraph. It could be, but there are likely some things that you can combine or condense. Some cautions. Don't belabor your planning of your early stakeholder discussions, fishbone diagram, and driver diagram. Theoretically, part of this program, you have been working and planning your DIP for a long time, right? We get that. But you do not need to go back and regurgitate things that you said in your chapter 2. You do not need to go back and regurgitate things that you said in your chapter 3. Do not do that. You can reference them. Referencing is great. It's just like, oh yeah, remember last week when we talked about something or another and you say 1 or 2 sentences, just enough to pique their memory? Great, that's what you want. And then go on to the planning stage. So it's just kind of these little hints without hinting and then re-explaining everything. We don't need that. We're going to get bored. It's going to waste a lot of space. It's going to be fluff. And your chair might say, cut it. Don't do that. You will conclude this section with a final level 3 heading of reflections on the plan phase. And here's where you get really, really reflective. So your narrative is, again, telling the story of what you did to prepare. Conclude this section with some more reflective thinking. This is where your critical thinking comes in versus maybe a summary narrative storytelling. Now you're getting like deeper into Bloom's taxonomy. You're getting a little bit more critical, a little bit more reflective. This will be the pattern. This will be the rhythm for the phases of your PDSA cycle in this chapter 4. So your do phase will have reflections on the do phase. Your study phase will have reflections on the study phase, etc. So you're concluding the section with a subsection for your scholar practitioner reflections. Each of these has maybe a different, depending on the nature of the section, a different like minimum number of guiding questions that we want you to incorporate. But it could be that you attend to all of them. They might all be really important and they might all build out, again, like what do you want to communicate to your readers? What do you want to communicate to your audience? But you should at least use a minimum of 2 of these. So here in the plan phase, sorry, my Grammarly wants to just tell me all the things. How did the planning process help you anticipate and prepare for implementation realities? What aspects of your preparation proved most valuable during actual implementation? That's really helpful to know, right? Because then those are things that if you reinforce them here in your reflections, you might be more likely to pull them in and do the same thing the next time you do a PDSA cycle. How did organizational context and constraints shape your planning decisions? You are working within constraints. You're working with boundaries. You're constantly delimiting or creating these delimitations to certain things. And that's okay. Like the goal here is to be transparent and to really pull it out, tease it out for your reader, for your audience. And a lovely one, what would you do differently in planning future PDSA cycles based on this experience? I guarantee you, when it comes to your dissertation defense, your oral defense, this is what committee members also want to know. Like, what would you do differently? Like, that can communicate so much of like what you actually learned and what you're taking away from your experience by not only sharing what you did and your reflections of it, but like, how would you do it different? What would you change? What would you revise? What was missing? Did you overdo something and need to back up? Did you underdo something and need to give more? All of that's really helpful. Now, answering this question might feel really vulnerable, and that's okay. But I caution you to assume that you would do nothing different. If I ever have a dissertation student say that they wouldn't do anything differently, I immediately sit back and I get hypercritical and I'm like, red flag. No, we as humans, as social beings and constantly learning, this is your very first time doing some of this work. Like, of course you should do something different next time. Like, there are always things to refine. And if you can't find anything, that signals to me that you're not thinking critically enough. Or maybe that you might be feeling some insecurity and feeling really, really scared, or that you lean toward perfectionism and attending to things that you would want to change is a really vulnerable and kind of scary experience, which one I full-heartedly understand. I have a lot of empathy. That's also like part of my own personal experience. But outlining them here is where some of this rich reflection and learning making as leaders happen. Don't you want to work for a leader who can reflect and be like, what could we have done differently? I don't want to work for a leader that assumes we never need to really change things, right? So I know I'm like focusing on that question, but it's so good. And be prepared to answer questions like that in your defense. Detail level provides specific information about your preparation activities while maintaining participant confidentiality, especially if you need to be a little bit careful there with maybe certain stakeholders. Include enough practical detail that readers can understand the complexity of organizing an improvement project in a real workplace setting. Focus on concrete actions rather than abstract planning concepts. So, paint the picture for us. Like, be concrete. Don't zoom out so much that we don't have a sense, so we can't picture what you did. We want to feel like we can picture things that you did. Some writing tips. Focus on practical preparation work rather than theoretical planning. So give us some concrete examples. Show how you organize yourself and your resources. Include specific examples of materials created or systems established or coordination efforts. If those examples are helpful to communicate with tables or figures, then do that. But make sure your tables or figures are meaningful. They're not just they are easily skimmable. So figures and tables that can't be skimmed, that are really just maybe a visual of a paragraph, we don't want that. We want information and tables that are chunked that we can easily scan and skim and look at the row and the column and kind of make sense of where things are. Be honest about preparation challenges or unexpected complexity. Do not try to just sugarcoat everything. We really want these honest reflections. Connect your preparation work to your organizational context and restraints. Demonstrate systematic thinking while maintaining narrative flow. That's big. You can do that with organization, maybe some level 3 headings. And remember that thorough preparation enables successful implementation and learning. So it's going to help us as readers understand your plan phase with a sense of the amount of detail that you give. So those are some coaching tips for your plan phase. You will probably hear maybe some similar, you can see the do phase comes next. You'll hear some maybe similar coaching for your do phase, although the do phase will likely be a lot longer because that's the bulk, right? A lot of your work is your do phase. But use this resource, use these guiding questions. You might find yourself wanting to jot down a few outlines first, decide what you want your level 3 headings to be. If you use level 3 headings, make sure those level 3 headings are descriptive enough so that if your reader only scans your level 3 headings, we get a sense of how your narrative for this plan phase is organized. It communicates some detail to us, right? Think about if I were to scan your dissertation's table of contents, I want to, and I'm just reading the level 1, 2, and level 3 headings, that those level 3 headings are signaling something. So if their level 3 headings are too vague, they might not be super helpful. If they're too detailed, that might also be a little wonky. You want to find the sweet spot of descriptive, but brief enough and maybe piqued my curiosity that it tells me what's in that section, but I also need to read more to figure out what's actually in that section. So, all right, look forward to reading your implementation of your plan phase.